Good evening. It is Tuesday, the 1st of August, 2023. We're into the August month of the year. Back for another episode of the Tiger Town podcast. I'm Zac. He's Toby. How are you, Toby?
Yeah, good mate, good. Um, all things considered, can't really complain. How about yourself?
Hey, not too bad. Revealed on the show last week that we had another little blessing in our lives. A little daughter of mine was born. So we, yeah, as you well know, it's an adjustment process. So going from one to two, we're just chipping away. I'm on a fair bit of leave at the moment, so we're lucky enough to be able to take our time in that regard. But um, it'd be good if that time off and the magic of a new family member was coupled with a little bit of victory in the football department. But I guess we can't have everything in life, eh?
No, no. Look, life doesn't give you things with both hands. It gives you one thing and then takes something else away. So, look, uh, we can't all be following a great team everywhere we go. I've got a couple of sporting teams that do quite well, so might as well have another one that doesn't. So,
Yeah, nah, I don't. All my teams are shit. Richmond
yeah,
had a good run for a while, but outside of
yeah,
that, Cleveland, I've seen Cleveland Cavaliers get a title, but it's a long time between drinks, especially for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's not
yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah, see, I'm a Pats and a Celtics fan, so what can you do? What can you
A
do?
couple
But
of Melbourne Storm style teams right there. They're always in there or thereabouts.
yeah, but see, here's the thing: I was a Pats fan well and truly before the Belichick era, because
Well and truly, he's been
yeah,
coaching since the early 2000s, late
he
90s, hasn't he?
has, he has. I went for the Pats in 1997 because it's who I picked in Madden
That's not.
97,
When did he start coaching? Belichick.
1999, I think.
So
He
two
was the
years
Jet.
is well before, is it?
Yeah, well before. I think he was at the
All
Jets
right, mate. I
before
like I like your concept of time. I'd hate to see what you think. If 2 years is well before, I'd hate to see what you think about our 11-year finals drought for the West Tigers.
Oh, it's all about context. It's all about context.
Ah,
That's a drip. That's a
I
blip.
see.
So
A,
because if I thought
a,
about it
a, a
too
blip
much,
drip.
I'd be very, very depressed on a very consistent basis if I thought about it too much. So that's just a blip.
Mate, so everything's going well, though? Happy
Yeah,
with life? It's all going
yeah.
well?
Happy wife, happy life. That's what they usually say. So look, we
I once got told, in no uncertain, not in no uncertain terms, but pretty emphatically, look, when you're married, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
can't have
I
both.
said, well, I said, I'm not going to be happy either way, so I might as well be right.
There you go. See, like I said, life doesn't give you with both hands. Takes with one and gives with the other. So you know what you've got now. But yeah, no,
Yeah, we certainly do.
watched the Matildas win last night, which was good. Um,
How good was that against
that was
the
quality.
Canadians? Uh, they won
Olympic
the
gold
World
medalists.
Cup for the women last time, I think, didn't they? Defending
No,
champs.
they won the Olympics. No, the
Okay,
last four I think's been the USA. Last four World Cups.
stinking USA.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can tell Megan Rapinoe where to go. Chirpy
yeah,
little bitch.
bloody oath. And then
If ever
and then
there's an unlikable head in world sport, Megan Rapinoe's right up there, I reckon.
there's a few unlikable heads in world sport. I can't say I'm a big fan of Cristiano Ronaldo's head. Gives me the shits.
Uh,
But yes, again, we
Cristiano,
digress. Yeah, we digress
we do
as we
digress. We do a lot of
always do.
mate, we do a lot of digressing. Hey, 32-18. Tigers went down to the Rabbitohs,
Yep.
which, fun fact, is actually named after those that hunted rabbits, not the rabbits themselves. So if you ever hear anybody call them the rabbits or the bunnies, that's actually incorrect. It's the bunny hunters. Anyway, I
There you go. Did
digress
not
yet
know that.
again. There you go. So in Tamworth, a place where several people probably go out shooting rabbits and hares. That's paradox. But we
Probably
didn't
not
actually do that
bad.
on the weekend. Hey, mate, what's your takeaways from the game?
Look, we were always winning up against it. Coming with a team like South, which pretty certain was at full strength. I don't think there was any big outs. And then you've got Latrell back, which he didn't listen to us the first time when we played them not to play. I didn't think he was going to listen to us the second time, but I don't think we asked him last week. So very disappointed in you, Latrell. I feel like you should have come back next week. I think you guys were
Yeah,
always going to make a run for the finals, so I didn't think you needed to come back for that one. But look, I was proud of the performance. I was proud. I think that there was a lot of things to like about that performance. I think again, we, I think we took them all the way to the wire again. Same thing we did when we first played them. I think maybe 60, 70 minutes of that, we were definitely in that game. I'm actually struggling to remember exactly what happened in that second half. Remember, we started the second half on fire.
mm,
I think there was a couple of very poor missed opportunities, um, especially down that left side. If I remember correctly, Tupou had that amazing break, 3-on-1 on the inside, decided to try to take it on the outside. It was frustrating to watch.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think it was. It's still like it was really good to see Staines back. I think we were both pretty adamant that he was going to add something, and I think he did. I think his returns were strong, his placement was strong, his support was strong, his defense was strong. If you recall, I think they scored 4 tries down our left side because Nofaluma doesn't know how to defend, hasn't for the better part of 10 years. You think that a professional footballer would learn after a while, wouldn't you? But I guess not. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. We're still only 2 points adrift from the Dragons because they lost as well. But now I think we'll be 8 points adrift if we lose this week from the Bulldogs because I think they'll have the bye this week. So the only team we can essentially take over is the Dragons. Um,
yeah. 4 points. We're 4 points back from the Dragons, and they've got 2 wins on us. So not only would we need to Jag 2 wins, but we'd also need them to lose all their remaining games and make up the points differential as well. So um,
yeah,
yeah, it's
not
looking
looking likely.
looking pretty ominous, but that that will be whatever it will be. I mean, the bottom line is 16th, 7th, 8th. Who cares at this point? We focus on other things, I guess. Very much embedded to the bottom of the table, whether it's dead last or second last. I
Mm.
mean, are we really going to be jumping for joy if we happen to sneak past them on points differential? I don't think so. It would be good to avoid the spoon, obviously, but it is what it is. So to quote the great Aaron Woods, but yeah, I think we make the most of the situations that we currently find ourselves in, and we look to the future in that regard, or at least focus on the positives because we're at the bottom regardless, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a couple of things to take from this season. If we think about if we try hard to think about the positives of this season, we've got a fair few things that we can be thankful for. I think we both agree that our future does look quite bright if things go our way. If the team, the youngsters that are coming through develop the way that we hope they do. Obviously with the Fine brothers, Appy signing on till 2026, Pole going from strength to strength, had a couple of ups and downs, but I think he was back to his best last week, especially with that try. I think Blore has solidified himself as a must pick when he's not off for an illegal tackle. Um, I think the I
You can keep running through them. You got Buller, you got TDS on the sidelines, you got the likes of
yeah,
Felipe and Fa'agutu and Lauliti and all these guys that are knocking down the door. So yeah, there's definitely some stuff to look forward to, no doubt, right?
yeah,
But
exactly.
I think we might look at that a little bit later in the show. We might maybe even towards the very back end of the season, we look a little bit into the off season and ahead in our crystal ball for 2024. But yeah, season's not over yet. Still got a month or so to go. So we'll try and stay in the now as best we can. We've certainly got a
Very
crack.
hard to.
We've
Very hard
still
to.
got it is, mate. But we've still got a few games that we can definitely give it a fair shake. The last time we played Canberra, we played for 10 minutes and we lost by a point in controversial circumstances. Um, we've still got the Roosters are going like busted. The Dolphins are falling off a cliff. So we've got a few games where, there's still some interesting points to come.
Yeah, and as you mentioned in our little chat over the week, a lot of teams are jagging one. Um, so hopefully our
Mm.
time comes soon.
Yeah, and every single year that we've struggled, particularly in the last couple of years where we've really struggled, we've still had that capability to jag the odd win here and there. And I guess you might argue that the Penrith game earlier in the year was exactly that. But this has been the first year in a lot of ways. I think that the as as Sheensy said in the press conference, whatever can go wrong has gone wrong, and that's just led to the footballing gods absolutely belting us with 99 lashes this year because the amount of times that a bounce, a penalty, a forward pass call, a ball sticking could have led to as much as 3 or 4 extra wins. And I won't give the exact games right now, but I'm sure if I go back and sat down and looked at them again, we could pull up easy 3 or 4 games where that's a situation. Look, that doesn't get us anything outstanding, but that's just where we're at this year. And Bulldogs are jagging wins. They jagged one over the weekend over the Dolphins, and I was spewing because I lost that tip. And I actually changed the last minute to the Dolphins, and then the Dogs won from a Jermaine Osako shocking conversion miss. So,
Uh,
but anyway, yeah, mate. My thoughts on that game. Look, that as you said, that was a full strength South side. I don't buy into their lack of form over the last few months. I think Latrell is everything to that team. You've got everyone else in there, obviously, that are playing a major role, but that has been over the Origin period. They've been missing Kaloa Matangi. They should be missing him a little bit longer as well, considering he did 2 shoulder charges and we didn't get a single penalty out of it. They've been missing, obviously, Mitchell for the best part of 3 months. Katie Walker was out for a game or so. They've been missing the likes of Cookie and Cameron Murray and all these guys over that period too. And he had a little injury in Nigel, so some players were rested. So full strength they were on the weekend, albeit maybe Latrell slightly short of a gallop. But there was also word that he'd been right to go for a couple of weeks, and so they decided to bring him back against the soft target. And he did what Latrell does. He chimes in for 2 or 3 moments a game and makes 2 or 3 things happen, and that's the difference with our sides. He did the same thing earlier in the year. We spoke about that last year. So that considered, and the fact that they scored an intercept try in the first couple of minutes is, other than the fact it's that bad luck rubbish again, um, is I got lucky with my prediction last week. I said 5 tries to 3, and you ignore it, that intercept try, it's 5 tries to 3, and it's there or thereabouts. So I think that being considered, the score would have been 26-18. I think that reflected the game if they didn't let that last try in with Murray. So yeah, it's the same stuff. And I think we're at the point of the season now where the team's getting a little bit tired mentally and physically. I think physically they're still up for the battle, but I think mentally losing seasons take their toll on even the most professional of the players, and there's still people out there putting in, but across the board, and I know they're professional athletes, things start slipping, and of all things, the discipline over the weekend was was average, or at least that's the way the referee interpreted it. Some of the choices they made, like you said, like the Stafford toe a kick, the Tupou go yourself, just things that you hope you can put down to youth and inexperience, and you hope that these kids will learn. And I say kids because they are, Toe was 22 or 21. Junior Tupou
just
just
turned
turned
20.
21 the other day,
Yeah.
21. So, yeah, you would hope that would be the case. No one is a complete player at that age. Reece Walsh is 21 and he makes 1,000 mistakes. Lucky enough to be gifted enough to make up for it, but and he may well be the exception to the rule. But yeah, so I think that being considered, I think a lot of people had us in for a bit of a flogging. We were anything but. When we were coming back hard at them at 20 points to 18 that second half, that was our game. And that we've done that a lot this year. And so I don't think this team gets credited enough for mental toughness in their capacity to come back at opposition. The problem is again, it's the same old story. I reckon it would be close to 10 games this year that we've given up early starts in the first half and had to come back at teams and have come back at teams. But God, when it's 20-6 at half time or, whatever all these deficits have been, excuse me, you've got no hope at that point. obviously you can jag the odd big comeback win, but if you're starting a deficit with 40 minutes down against a team that a lot of people slated for top four, even though they did start last weekend in ninth position, it's you got Buckley. So a lot to talk about from the game. It's been a long season for us. I know the fans are feeling it. I'm sure the players are feeling it to a degree, and we're the same to the listeners out there. We feel the same thing. It's not like doing this podcast is a chore or anything, but at the end of these seasons, or towards the end of these seasons, I should say it. Um, let's just say we're not bubbling with the same youthful, effervescent exuberance that we are pre-season the first couple of rounds. Anyway, let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah, we were just talking about that. It's sometimes, yeah, just you're not exactly up for it in terms of. I guess you have a look back at our pod that we did after the Cowboys win, and we were chomping at the bit, we were happy, chuckling, couldn't believe it, sitting there. I think if I'm quoting you, you were like, name one team that's put 66 on a team and got the wooden spoon. Well, now we can. So yeah, it's just and that like every Tigers fan would be the exact same boat. We just have the opportunity to vent our frustration on a platform. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. So we do hope that when we turn the mics on each week, that we are sort of, I guess, singing the songs that you guys are feeling, um, and that as we keep using that word catharsis, sometimes hearing other people verbalize the very stuff that you're thinking, particularly when it comes to a football team that we are all hopelessly passionate about, then it can help a little bit, and even just provide even alternate perspectives at the same time too. So anyway, that's about the fourth digression for the day. But mate, was there any performances you liked in that team? I know you mentioned a couple of names. Anybody stand out that I guess is worth a mention?
I thought Brooks came back strong. I thought he had a couple of very good touches. Like I mentioned before, Staines I think was quite strong again when he came back. I think he's your first pick, one of your first picks every week, just with what he gives and the value. But it's very hard to go past our captain. It's very hard to go past Appy. I think Appy leads from the front, and his dedication and his commitment is just unmatched. Um, and I'm hoping that sort of starts to, these young guys that are, like you said, they're mentally and they're just probably mentally drained. Physically, yeah, they'd be drained as well, but the mental aspect would be a little bit, take a more of a toll. Hopefully, that passion and that drive that he shows for winning will eventually start to bleed into them, and they have the same sort of mentality. But yeah, I think Appy is such a big in for us. I think um, for me, it's the exact same for Souths if they're out with Latrell. I think that he's our Latrell in the fact that we are just such a better football team, regardless of the result, when he's in our side. So we just need to
Yeah,
keep building players around him.
it does feel at times that he's sort of putting the whole team on his back, and that's something you can't do forever. So as much as we've been singing the praises of the likes of Clemmer and Bateman in the first half of the season, or more experienced campaigners, I would actually like to see a few of those couple of blokes in particular just step up a little bit towards his back end, and then even at the start of next year, because they need to be on his level.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that they need to. I think they're doing a great job. I've been happy with Bateman's season. I've been extremely happy with Clemmer's output, although he's quietened off a little bit in the last month or so, but particularly his leadership qualities. But yeah, I think they need to go. I think they need to find another gear, and if nothing else, simply for the betterment of the club and the betterment of the players around them, to show them, what we can do as senior players in terms of your application to the games and your one percenters, and um, you know being able to inspire those around you. Because yeah, like I said, Appy can't do it all on his own, and that's a surefire way to make somebody reasonably bitter and burnt out.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got him for another 3 years. 3 years. Just doing it in my head. We've got him for another 3 years, which gives obviously TDS a little bit more time to develop, a little bit more time to grow into his body, and really become that understudy for Appy. But at the same time, if these other senior players, like you didn't put Ice in there either, but Ice is definitely one of those senior players who,
I was thinking about it.
yeah, who hasn't really taken that leadership role seriously, and I think he should. He's a representative. He's played in the grand final. He's won second row of the year twice. Um, he really needs to show his leadership skills because if probably those three in particular, if they don't assist Appy in terms of that, like you said, it'll burn him out and it'll make him bitter, it'll make him angry, and he won't see out the 3 years. He'll probably leave. So
Yeah,
that's
I mean, if anything, that re-signing is a show of faith from him that he's committed to the long haul, and that's exactly the sort of injection in the arm that the club needed. And we did touch
completely
on that last week, I
blindsided
think.
too.
But
Completely blindsided. Did
but
not happen.
no, we talked about it, and we thought maybe towards the end of next year we'll talk about taking up his option. But to do that so early, I just love the commitment to it, and it just shows that he's the one. Like, what a captain choice! You know,
Yeah.
he has just grown. He has grown into that role incredibly. And you think back less than 12 months ago, the drunken jokes he was making at the Panthers, and the way that looked, the optics of that from our fan base wasn't great. But if you want an example of how a player can win over a fan base
Oh
and
yeah.
lead a club forward, he is sitting in the dictionary, a picture of Uppy when we describe that that clubman, that leader to try to actually get some genuine change. Is what we wanted Tamo to be. Is what I think we were hoping, maybe even go back to Mbai, what we're hoping he was going to be when he was made captain. We've finally got one that's going to do it, so we need supporting players around him. And I think personally the likes of Bateman will go with him. I just think he had such an unsettled start to the year, and he's still living out of a small little temporary apartment, and he's been back and forth between England a little bit, and he's got a really young family that. So I'd like to think that over the off season they get a bit more settled, they find themselves maybe another place or something, and they can have a proper off season together. I do think that some of those senior players will step up onto the dais alongside Appy and go, right here, let's see what we can do. Let's show these blokes the way. I think Clemmer's done it in his own way, and I've been really impressed by him. But I think he and Bateman and Uppy together, yeah, from a team sense. Anyway, we're just going around in circles, but yeah, very pleasing. Obviously, he did quite well. Um, the a couple of incidences from the game, a couple obviously, there's a couple of shoulder charges from Kaloa Matangi, so he incurred um, a couple of small charges. And my understanding is that unless he challenges them, he's going to get away with a couple of fines, I think. Excuse me, from memory. So, I mean, I can live with that. What I can't live with is Davey Moali's lack of a sin bin. I found that one of the worst decisions I've seen in a long, long time. If you go back to Dale Finucane, when he raced out and put a big hit on that was not a shoulder charge and had a head clash, he got 4 weeks, I think it was, 4 or 5 weeks for that, because it was deemed to be careless. He didn't take care for the player that he raced out of the line to hit. And as a result of not being careful, his head collided with the other bloke's head and put the other bloke at risk. So you have the onus, if you want to put a hit on, to make sure that you don't hurt the other player. It's essentially what it is. And it's a weird rule because we've never really had to interpret it classically in rugby league, but in the last few years, most definitely it's come to the fore. And that was an example of not only, I think it was, in some ways it was worse because it was a blatant illegal tackle in a shoulder charge. And as a result of the illegal tackle and the careless nature of that shoulder charge, his head hit Blaw's head. So he put Blaw at risk, and then he stayed on the field. We then lose Blaw to his second concussion. We miss him for the rest of the game, who has probably been our best forward in the last few games.
Yeah.
So,
I think
what
the
was your
biggest
take on
one,
that?
I think of that the thing that got under my skin because I messaged when we were talking about it after the game. I saw it as a head clash. That's what I saw it as. And then when you explained a little bit further, it was like, okay, well, yeah, that your point makes sense as well. The thing that got under my skin was how chirpy that bloke was after it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the thing that got under my skin. And then I think, like, the thing that pleased me the most was I think the next set, our forwards directed a massive run at him, put him
yeah.
under pressure, really
And
put in his face. And he missed that tackle that let Pole in.
yeah,
So,
Pole danced past him to score. So that was a little bit of
justice. But
vindication, but he should have been off. And at
yeah,
that point, that's our third try, right? And they're down to 12 men. We score off a subsequent set from Polo. And so it was 18-20 at that point, and they could have still had 8 minutes, 7 minutes with 12 minutes. Anything could happen at that point in the game. Anything. So again, we've spoken about this ad nauseum, where these little calls that people say, "What are you talking about? You lost 6 tries to 3." You think like the difference between a little sin bin on it. Well, you might have scored a try. Congratulations, you get one back. It's like, no, these games are, up
they're
until a
built on
certain point,
momentum.
decisions then, hey,
They're built on momentum.
they are, mate. And just these decisions, they open up a new universe, and then the game goes in that direction. But if a decision goes a different way, you don't know what happens in the game from that moment onward. Particularly something like that. My understanding was a shoulder charge it's like a punch. It's an immediate 10 in the bin. So not only is the shoulder charge itself 10 in the bin, but then the fact that there was also a head clash, so he didn't show a duty of care to the player, which makes it worse. It's not a send off at all, but it's definitely a sin bin. I couldn't believe it, man. I was really, really ropeable, and it was such a key part of that game. It's just another example.
And that's the thing. Like you say, like I said, I didn't see it from that point of view at the time. I I definitely thought it was just a head clash. I knew it was a shoulder charge, but I definitely thought it was just a head clash. Um, that just was unfortunate. But then obviously when you sort of analyze it a little bit deeper, you kind of it fires you up a little bit more. But I I've lost count at how many times this has happened this year. I've lost count. Like how many times these calls where it's there's examples throughout the year and they've been consistent throughout the year, and then for some reason when it comes to us, it's out the window. The rule book's gone, and I just like we had that game a few weeks ago now. I can't remember who we played, but we know that Dickhead Badger was the ref. Um, and it was as if he was trying his hardest to give the other team the win. I think it might have been when we played the Sharks.
Gavin Badger?
Yeah, Dickhead Badger.
Badge isn't reffing anymore. You thinking of someone else? Casey is.
Oh,
Casey's
not
in the
Dickhead
was in.
Badger. He used to hate us, and then he actually joined us for a while, though, didn't he?
He
Dickhead
was
Badger.
our consultant.
It was
I don't mind Badge these days, but
Dickhead Sutton.
yeah. Oh, Sutton. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, Badge, if you're
yeah.
listening.
Jared Sutton.
Thanks,
Yeah.
I do like you now that you've wore a Tiger shirt. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything. But if you usually on the Mondays, Graham Ainsley will come out and he will admit wrongs and faults from the refs. Like he's obviously come out and done that with Casey Badger for that. I think it was a storm try
No,
potentially.
uh, last week the Dragons won.
Yeah, the Dragons
The
one. That was
Dragons no try.
no try.
Casey Badger is one of the worst officials I have ever seen, and it's
She's
so
bad.
unfortunate because she is the first female to really bust through that ceiling. She is terrible, and it sucks. I can't remember the one earlier in the year, but we were tearing our hair.
I can.
You
I
weren't because
can.
you don't have any
It
left.
was when they didn't give Joffa that try. When she didn't give Joffa that try.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Jeez, I just don't know. I don't know what their training looks like. I don't know what their processes are. It's just, yeah. Anyway, we tend to beat up on the refs a little bit every week to some degree, and we do it because we're a struggling side and we've got confirmation bias. But yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, but
yeah, it's tricky,
there's a
and
little bit more to that. There's a little bit more to that. We've got like consistent evidence that something's not right there. So
yeah, we do. Struggling sides do, like the media at large have spoken about that unconscious bias stuff, and we've unpacked it before. Won't go there tonight. And
no,
if I so much as hear you mutter the words conspiracy theory,
no
you have to do the pod in your underpants next week. So
one
don't
wants
tune
to see
into the
that.
YouTube one next week, folks. No,
No one wants
Spotify
to
next
see
week.
that.
I'm telling you. Yeah, but no. Look, those decisions annoyed me a little bit. I agree with you. I think going back to the game and what I liked I liked our movement of the ball. I think we looked dangerous at times, which is really exciting. We just execution, man. It's the same thing all year. There's just there is not enough of the right options at the right time to make the most of their points. And you look at the best drilled sides, they take every chance or near on every chance. If we were a side with their current squad playing as we currently have, who takes 80 to 90% of their chances, who knows where we'd be? We'd be
Yeah,
a shitload higher on the ladder. I guarantee you that much. I think
yeah,
from memory, if I just have a quick look at these team stats here, I think from memory. So I just want to go straight down to tackle breaks and line breaks. Souths made 8 line breaks. We made 7. We made 38 tackle breaks. They made 33. So one of the best attacking sides in the comp, Souths, and it's particularly when they're on. And 7 line breaks we made, and a lot of them were clear as day. They were full line breaks. So just the inability, and it's the same old tune that we've been singing all year, the inability to execute on chances, which is a reflection of other factors, halves, experience, that sort of stuff, quality in the back line. That is the thing that is the difference right now. And we can point to other issues, and we can talk about why we're not executing. Is it coaching? Is it too many voices at coaching? I don't buy into that stuff. Is it the quality of the players? I certainly buy into that stuff. Is it the quality of the halves? Certainly agree with that. Is it the inexperience of many of the backline? Yes. Is it the quality of many of the backline? Yes. But at a certain point, you would like to think that, let's say we take 50% of our chances. I reckon we're well and truly below that this year. And I reckon that is the very thing that has been so costly. And one of the very things why this team is so frustrating, because they have shown that they can be dangerous on occasions. And I harken back again, like I did a month or so ago on the pod, to instances in games where we do catch fire and take our chances. The Bulldogs game, bang, bang, bang. The Canberra game, bang, bang, bang. These quick tries in quick succession. The Cowboys game, where we just caught fire and took our chances. 66 points, if you please. You know, I think that's why it's difficult too, because execution is not simply a matter of going, change this one thing, do this one drill, put a little bit more of the sticky spray on your hands. It's one of those things, I guess, that is really hard to pin down. It's not like these guys, as professional athletes, aren't training the house down or aren't, practicing all these things over and over and over and over. But sooner or later, whatever the magic dust is to try to get them to take their chances and execute, execute, execute. The second this side and this club learns how to do that better, things will change literally overnight, even outside of squad changes. I genuinely believe it.
yeah, and that's fair. And that's we've talked a lot about, well, especially you. This is something definitely that you are focused on this year, is how often we don't take our chances and how many times we've dropped the ball over the line, or we
Mm.
haven't passed when we've had a 3-on-1 overlap. Just things like that.
Oh, mate, draw and pass. Draw and pass the fullback. Like we saw the Tupou one, as you mentioned earlier, but there's countless examples of
Oh, exactly.
situations like that. What was the thing I was talking about earlier in the year? There was like the first 5 or 6 games consecutively, we had a player drop the ball over the line in every single game.
Yep.
Something outrageous like that. Yeah. The tries we've left on the table this year are unlike anything I've ever seen. That's why we're not only, that's a giant reason why we're 3 wins,
Yeah.
because you miss a try or two per game. And I think I might have mentioned something like this similar a week or two back. You miss a try or two per game, that's going to cost you not a win, it's going to cost you several wins a season. We're still trying to get on the up, but I tell you what, 6, 7, 8 wins looks a hell of a lot better than 3.
Yeah, exactly. If we had 8 wins this season, that's more than double what we had last season. And
It's
we'd be
above Dragons, it's above Canterbury, it's equal with the Dolphins, it's equal with the Titans, and we're in that pack of, you know, not near the bottom anyway. Anyway, it's like tits on a ball, doesn't, it's useless.
doesn't
So
matter.
doesn't matter at this point. What we can say is the time was competitive. We can be happy about that. The effort was definitely there. We love the way they came back at Souths, most definitely. Uh, I'm with you. I like what Staines brought. So, yeah, look, when Sheen sits in the presser and talks about green shoots and mentions certain names, yeah, look, there is some good stuff there. But obviously, there's a lot of work still to happen. So,
Yeah. Well, I think we've
mate, I'm
focused
gonna,
on that shit long enough.
yeah, I'm gonna go left field briefly, and
Yep.
I'm gonna put a bit of a positive spin on the pod and say that the NRLW West Tigers girls are on top of the table, mate. If you
Yeah.
please.
It's look, at
Strong
least
showing last week against Parramatta gave them a bit of a touch up in the second half, and then this week against one of the competition heavyweights, the Sharks, who beat us 22-0 in the trial, beat them 10-zip, a scoreless second half. Now, mate, were you able to watch the game, or did you just catch the highlights?
no, I just caught the highlights. So
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Uh, Ja'Kai Whitfield, so young winger, ran for a NRLW record of 270, 280 odd meters for the game or something. Just a weapon. The girls are just going out there and they're just choking the opposition. Jesus, good to see. It's good to see him happy too. So, um, yeah, really good stuff. The girls have made a beautiful start, and Noddy's happy, which is good because I think we sucked 3/4 of his soul out of him last year.
yep. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Threw him under the bus
Yeah.
and then just
So
kept reversing back over him. But
yeah, most definitely. Yeah, but to the listeners, if you haven't gotten around the girls competition and the girls side this year with the West Tigers coming into it off the back of winning the Harvey Norman Women's New South Wales Premiership last year, highly recommend it. The level of the footy has just gone to another level in the girls department, and having a Tigers side in there now means we actually get a bit invested. So it's good stuff to see. Loving what the girls are doing, loving the attitude they're bringing, the smiles on their faces, and as far as I know, they're killing it in the community department too. So
yeah,
just great ambassadors for the game.
I was always excited when we signed Kezi Apps, so I always knew that was a big
Hmm.
thing. So I knew
Yep,
I knew I'd be a little bit more invested, obviously, than not having the team in there. But it's just nice to see a black, orange, and white jersey do well. Um, maybe the boys can start looking at how the girls do things, and yeah, maybe up their ante a little bit. I mean, those girls are just all heart at the moment, so it's great.
it is. Yeah, that's an accurate assessment. That's what they look like when you watch their games. It all just comes from within. They're playing within themselves. So very very pleasing to see girls. Keep it up,
Yes. So coming
mate.
off. Oh,
You go.
I was just going to say, just coming off an article, literally, I just read then popped up. Um, you shared some news with us in our chat yesterday, something about Jaden Sullivan signing a 3-year deal. Just read then
Yes.
that
So no.
I just read then
Sorry, say that again.
he's about to tour the Knights facility.
Again.
So apparently, um,
Okay.
but
When was that article dated, my friend? Because he toured their facility 3 or so days ago, and they've just signed Jack Cogger. So I don't
okay.
think they're in for Sullivan.
Well, it does just say so. It's just then. It says literally it was published 4 minutes ago. The Knights want a face-to-face meeting, so he's not touring with the 21-year-old with an appeal to sign the young gun for 2024.
Okay, well there you go.
So
Well, so what I had heard is that yeah, the Knights had entertained him, but he was always interested in staying in Sydney and was more keen on our pitch. And I have heard that it is a 3-year deal and has been signed. Not the strongest of mail, but relatively so as far as rumours go, I guess. So
Yeah.
3 years, what they're looking at. I have also heard very recently as well that whilst still a pretty likely chance, there's a bit of a hold up with Caesar because there is a possibility that a far better option may have become available, were the words that I read. I don't have any more information on that, unfortunately. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what a far better option would be or where they might come from. So hopefully we might see something unfold there. But mate, if we just go with the Occam's razor for the moment heading into next year, the most likely scenario, uh, Aiden Caesar, Sullivan, Fayunu on the books. We've got Galvin in the 30 next year. Galvin is not ready. Um, what do you think of that setup? How would you run those three? Would you run them all in the side? How would you look at it, and what are you thinking shape up wise? I know we talked briefly about it last week, but we'll just do
Yeah,
another
I
retouch.
think we did talk a little bit about it, and I think I gave my 2 cents, but I'm happy to recap. Um, like I said, I'd have if like I said, if everything falls the way that we hope they do, Caesar, Sullivan as the halves, with Sullivan shifting to the halfback position when Caesar retires, and then Finu coming in. I don't think Finu needs. I think Finu still needs another full season of New South Wales Cup under his belt. I think that same thing with TDS. I think TDS needs a full season of New South Wales Cup, um, just to get him used to playing with the boys. I think he's done an admirable job when he's come on. I think there is still a lot of things he can improve on. I think defense is a big one. He is still quite slight, but so's Appy. Appy's just technique is incredible. Um, but yeah, I think that's like I said. I'm very hopeful that everything falls the way that we want it to, and that's how I would play it. Yourself?
Yeah, I agree. We've spoken a little bit about this in the past week or so, with it being a likely, if not guaranteed, scenario that there's enough at the moment. And look, you don't know how things are going to pan out, but you've got to make plans with what you've got and what is possible. So based upon that fact, I think Caesar walks into the seven for a year or two if he's available. You got Sullivan there as a project player who is still only 21 and he is a halfback, but has a strong running game. So you probably play him at six. You start Fayunu in second grade, and then you look to mould Sullivan if he looks like he's possessing the capacities to do so into a seven for a longer term stint. Then bring Fayunu into the six. You've got Galvin there, who is defeating all comers at a schoolboy level. He's 18 years of age. He'll be in the 30 next year. I highly doubt that he will physically be ready to play in RL next year. Very slight individual. I think he's a back row lock prospect as much as he plays a lot of 5'8", and he's been braining them. Quite tall, lanky fella. So different build to the others, most definitely. But to me, Fayunu, for an 18-year-old kid, looks pretty physically ready to handle the rigours of that. He's been playing a decent amount of games, half a dozen to a dozen in our New South Wales Cup games, sorry, which is against fully grown men and handling it just fine. So, yeah, there's some combinations there. I think that considering the market and what we were looking at staring down the barrel of, and you could even make an argument, and a pretty strong one, I would say, that the halves lineup this year, injuries aside, of Brooks Dewey with Wakeham as a backup, sort of pales in comparison in some ways to a Caesar, Sullivan, and Fayunu from some aspects. So
Mm.
it's interesting to see how it might play out. And it might be that in a month it's all flipped on its head. We know we've got Fayunu. Sullivan might not happen, despite my mail, and Caesar may not happen either, despite the fact it looks likely. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But look, at least there are options that look like they will be available, and at least those options sound serviceable as we continue to try to grow and plan for the future in a key area of ours.
Yeah, yeah, and that's all we can really hope for at this point. I mean, we got to try to find some positives continuously. Otherwise, this is just an all doom and gloom podcast. But yeah, thinking about that prospect is pretty exciting.
Yep, yep, definitely. Look, and just to, I don't know whether it backs up what I've heard, but there was a bit of talk on. I have heard from a source that someone at the Dragons said that Sullivan is done for the Tigers. He might be. I don't know if Dave Riccio mentioned apparently on 360 that he's meeting with the Knights tomorrow. That doesn't make sense to me considering he met with the Knights a few days back, but whether that mail is true or not. Some of the Dragons said that he's done to the Tigers, and then Braith tonight said he spoke to someone in recruitment at the Tigers and he said Sullivan's a done deal for them too. So it sounds like it's pretty emphatic. So it would be good to see, um, see some announcements soon because we do need to start having a bit of an idea about what it's gonna look like. Because in
Yeah,
some ways, our preseason, even though it doesn't start, our preseason somewhat starts when September rolls around, which is just a month's time, and we're pretty used to that
yeah,
early preseason starts. So
yep,
um, it would be interesting to see. But look, we've got halves that look like they're coming. They're going to be available. They're going to bring certain strengths and weaknesses. And one could argue that, it's I guess there is a lot of upside, if nothing else. We're not staring down the barrel of having Wakeham and Will Smith as our starting NRL halves round
oh
one next year, because that would make
my
me sick.
god, my god.
Yeah,
Like, I'm sorry,
yeah,
like,
you're God.
yeah, Will Smith just, and this is it. Like, we're talking about a bloke who can't play elite rugby league. He would run rings around 80% of this population of rugby league players, but he is not an NRL player. He did all right at the Parramatta, if I remember correctly, as a utility. He did okay, but he's just gone off. He's just dropped off completely. That last try was all his fault from
That
South.
was I failed to mention that, but that was one of the worst attempts at tackle one on one that I've seen from particularly an experienced player in a long, long time. He was barely beaten, and I would say that Cam Murray was a foot from Will Smith's left shoulder, and he literally stuck out his arm like he was trying to emulate one of those. You know, at the airport, how you got those three metal prongs that you walk through,
Yeah,
or the
yeah,
train station, and they rotate with you.
yep.
It literally looked like that. He just went like this and just put his arm out.
And
Oh
see,
man, it was disgusting because I didn't see it live, and on the replay I was like, how the hell did he slice through so quick? I saw Bateman on the inside, and I thought, oh no, don't tell me Bateman's had a shocking miss. It wasn't Bateman's man. It was Will Smith every day of the week. It was horrendous.
the thing that annoys me more too is you're forgiven if you've been on the field for 79 minutes. If you're happy and you've been on the field for 79 minutes, you are forgiven. If you are
Yep.
fresh with 10 minutes to go, you are not forgiven. That is
And you're a
ridiculous.
seasoned campaigner who's played. What's Will Smith played? He'd be playing 100
I think
games
it's about
surely,
100
or close
plus.
to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was awful. And off the back of that and that alone, I don't want to ever see him play in that jersey again. And that wasn't his first in that regard either. His
Well, his
defence was
first
something I
walker.
did not know was that bad. It is abhorrent, mate. It's nearly as bad as Nofaluma's defence.
Yeah.
It's far worse than Nofaluma's defence, let's be honest. But
Imagine if Will Smith was in the centres with Noffa. That'd be great.
that'd be a hell of a combination.
Yeah. Jesus. Don't ever
Okay.
wish for that.
Mate, this week is a game that traditionally the Tigers have gotten thumped by one of our bogey sides. Raiders sitting in fifth, crazily, but not travelling super well. Didn't have the best game against the Knights last weekend. Knights, wasn't it? Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think so, yeah.
Knights gave them a surprising touch-up, but they are still a quality side, no doubt, right in the meat of that top eight, which, again, does surprise me a little bit. 4:05 p.m. on Sunday down at GIO Stadium in Canberra. If for some ridiculous reason you happen to live in Canberra, particularly in the middle of winter, get down to the game and throw your jersey on. We got all sorts of changes and bits and pieces and stuff going on with the side, so let's run through the Tigers side now. Jerry Buller is the fullback. Nofaluma somehow, I don't know what's going on there. He's still on the wing. Uh,
Surely we have someone better.
he's almost, mate,
Surely
he's
we.
almost Will Smith level for me.
Yeah.
I can't watch him play football anymore. And look,
No.
anyway, we know where we stand on him at the moment. It makes me sick. Stafford Toa, Junior Tupou, the centres. Charlie Staines is the 5. Dane Laurie is 6 after copping that knock on the knee that Sheen said in the presser was hopefully just an impact and something light that he should be able to shake off this week. We'll see how we go. Dano's done all right in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with
Brooks is the halfback. We've got Alex Twal coming in for Uto Ikamanu, who my understanding was that I thought it was a knee because he did come off with a knee, but he did return to the field. I think that it's actually become a HIA, so I think he's had a stand down for a late HIA in that game, so that's the reason he's missing
that.
this
Okay.
game, unfortunately. We've got him in prop, so we've got Twally in prop with Clemmer, so a bit of experience there. Twal has been good again the last couple of weeks, really hitting that AB with Appy coming back. I think Appy has been huge for Twally's game. Appy
Yeah.
is obviously the hooker and captain at 9. The back row and lock changes, stays the same, has rarely changed is what I meant to say this year, which has been good for consistency. Papali'i in the 11, Bateman at 12, Polay in lock, coming off a good game from Fanua. Jake Simpkin returns to the 14. Thank goodness for that. At least he can tackle. Touch wood. Justin Manamua comes in for his first game, which is really pleasing to see. Love seeing the young fellas, particularly those that are talked up, get a good run in the 15. Hey, Tarcy James, who I personally think was very lucky to get away with his high shot, even though the play was falling on the weekend, is the 16. And Asu Kapoa comes in as whatever they've decided he's going to play this week. Is it 5'8"? Is it prop? Who knows?
Hey, you could
Poor
pop in
bugger.
fullback. You never know.
You never know. Our our reserves. Talon De Silva, 18. Seafarth, 19. Will Smith, 20. Wisey in the squad. Kit Leali'i, spectacular young man, spectacular young player. His younger brother Luke is still in the junior system. Kit was the captain of the premiership winning SG Bull side, containing a lot of our young up-and-coming stars, the likes of Talon, the likes of Galvin, these sort of guys. He's the 21, which is exciting to see, and Josh Folletti, so another one of our up-and-comers, played in the New South Wales under-19s game a few weeks back. He's a centre. A lot of raps from him. He came from Manly originally. Struck up, coincidentally, a fantastic partnership with Latu Fauna in the SG
Yep.
Bull side for Manly when they were quite strong. So a lot of youth coming in now, mate, and it appears to be that we are really pushing to give these young guys
Some
a
games.
bit of a taste, albeit on the reserve list.
Yeah.
Mate, what stands out to you in that team list there?
First question, is this, from my recollection, Matamua's first game of the year?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
so it's
been
good to
19th
see.
man a couple of times, but he's in this week.
Yeah,
So,
it's good to see him back.
yeah.
I think,
Obviously, Blore is out and Steph is out,
yeah.
both with concussion, I'm assuming.
I think that there's something I also didn't mention when we talk about the Rabbitohs game was I actually thought Tupou did quite well in the centres. I thought he defended well.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm comfortable with him being there again. You know, I think he adds a bit of dynamic and he's quite strong in the upper body, so I like that. Yeah, we obviously just don't have enough options to drop Noffa. That's all I can think of. I don't want Kapoa there again. I think Kapoa's on the same level in terms of defense out wide. But that's probably not so much Kapoa's fault. I think he's been chopped and changed so much. He's probably been asked to put on bulk because he's been jumping in the back row, so he probably doesn't have the speed or the explosiveness that he once did.
I will say that Kapoa, yeah, I agree. Kapoa was dropped to New South Wales Cup, played on the wing for the Maggies on the weekend and had a fair fist of it, scored a pretty good try and was a bit of a handful. So, yeah, okay. I agree. I think he's been a bit of a victim of being shuffled around all over the place.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it's good to see Simpkin back in. I think he's, like you said, at least he can tackle. The way it looks like it'll most likely go is he'll come in at lock, and he'll have that thing. It looks like Appy's playing that 80 minutes, so which we all need.
Yeah. So then you'll have obviously Polo going to the prop rotation because you've got Manamua there who'll play as that lock middle. So
yeah.
And I guess you would then say that Asu would be more of that utility value.
I'd say
it
so.
Seems pretty light on bench in my estimation.
Doesn't look like a big bench, does it?
It doesn't, no. But obviously we gain that extra prop by carrying a lock on the bench.
Yeah,
with Polo going into that. So
look, I've said it before. Asatasi James, his legs are just tree trunks. He is a big boy.
Tassie, mate.
What did I said Atasi.
Asatasi.
Did I say Asatasi? Did I?
Yeah, that's all
Oh,
right. We were saying it for 12 months, but we'll get it right, Mr. James.
eventually.
And then I think even a couple of weeks back, I think I told you that it's a T, but he actually, the correct apparently pronunciation is Akasi with a
Yeah, I think
K
you. Yeah, you
sound.
did say
But
that. Yeah.
anyway, we'll keep working on it. AJ,
Yeah.
sorry, and we'll try and get it right
Yeah,
for
we'll
you,
just call
mate.
him AJ. We'll just call him AJ. That'll be fine. The one thing
Let's
I did
do it,
want to
and
highlight,
that won't be confusing with AJ Kapoor at all, will it?
nah, because we don't call him AJ Capel. We just call him Capel. The one thing I do want to
No.
highlight, we've got Kit Lau Lee in on the reserves. He's also been named on the bench for our New South Wales Cup side, and I think that's his first New South Wales Cup game.
No, he's played a bit of cup. He's played a few
He
games
has.
off the bench so far. Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
haven't seen
So,
it.
but it is good to see him get listed in the squad at large. So he'll get that game day experience, which is nice for him. So, yeah, a lot of those SG ball boys from last year, the likes of, even though Fagutu didn't play, that isn't the same ilk. Galvin, TDS, Lauliti, Felidi, Galvin. There's a few other names in there as well. A lot of those guys, Galvin not so much just yet, but they're either, if they're not playing flag, a little bit underage, and they're up there playing New South Wales Cup. So they are pushing some of those better players up into those higher tiers, which is good to see.
Nice.
So, mate, Sunday afternoon game, which is a nice change. It seems as though we've been stuck on Thursdays and Fridays for a little bit,
Yeah,
even though
yeah. I don't
we had a
mind
Saturday in there, but at least this way the weekend isn't ruined until the end of the weekend. So we hit the
it. and then the
reset
week.
button pretty soon after. Yeah, exactly.
So
Mate, how do you see the game playing out? We're obviously rank outsiders.
always, I think we have the right to be rank outsiders as well. Um, Look, I'm not even going to bother guessing a result. I think that whatever happens, happens. I'm done trying to guess wins, losses. I think I'm just going to go for my bold predictions from now on. I think that, you know, if they win, fantastic. If they lose, it's expected. So I'm just going to go with a bold prediction from now on, with the caveat that I hope we win. So my bold prediction is I reckon Tupou will get over for his first try in semis. So that's my
Okay,
bold prediction. What about yourself?
all right. Um, I'm going to say that we might see a few more minutes out of Akasi James, and we might see him if he hopefully gets a few extra minutes, given that Steph and Blore, who both play traditionally middles and are strong presences in the middle, are out. I might see him run for 100 metres for the first time.
That's
I'd
good.
like to see him get 35, 40 odd minutes and yeah, get his name up and over the 100 metre mark for the first time. It's not a major bold prediction, but it's obviously something that he hasn't looked like doing yet. So yeah, I'd like to see that. Maybe step up a little bit into that first choice prop from the bench.
So you're following my lead and not even going to bother with the result.
No, I'm not going to cop out. I'm going to give a result because
All
best practice over here, my friend.
right.
The result is going to the result is going to be a close loss to the Raiders. I'm going to say they won't have any trouble scoring points. It's going to be 28-16, 28-18, something like that. So it'll be a very similar result to last week, I think, albeit I don't think they're going to jump out to the lead that Souths did. But I think they'll lead for most, if not all, the match, and we'll be chasing our tail, but sort of hang in the game, which is what we've done a lot of this year. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Hey, here's what it is. So,
mate. Any parting thoughts before we run through our PSAs?
no, not really. I think that we're probably both sort of counting down to the end of the season. I think it'd be nice to have a couple more pods where we're talking about a win. But yeah, it's look. If anything, it's a good platform to have a bit of a chat and talk about what the Tigers mean to us. So
Two Tigers tragics having a yarn. It was the same on episode 1, and it's the same on episode 51.
That's right.
Righto, mate. Everybody, you guys know the drill by now. If you haven't already, put people, your friends, whether they're Tigers fans or not. Actually, don't give it to non-Tigers fans. They'll probably hate you for it. But Spotify, go on there and follow Tiger Town Podcast YouTube channel by the same name. We do stream this video. If you unfortunately want to look at our faces, I was going to say handsome, but I won't push the envelope there too much. Hop on YouTube. Make sure you follow. Send us messages. Facebook page by the same name. Also, DMs and comments. Keep them coming. We do love them. It gives us a wonderful bit of feedback, and we really enjoy that people are enjoying the show. So thanks so much for that and your support, guys. It really means a lot to us. Genuinely does. We didn't expect a single listener, and we're surprised every single week when we see the audience grow the rate that it does. We're not setting any world records, but most certainly we've got a lovely little community that's come along for the ride with us, and we will see success. And boy, howdy, we can't wait to share in the success when it does come with this small audience of ours. Now, guys, if you haven't already, West Tigers podcast, West Life podcast, both of those two podcasts are separate. They don't like each other, but we love both of them, and those two podcasts do things better than us. Get on over to those two podcasts, get over to their platforms as well, and tell them, who sent you. The humble old blokes from Tiger Time Podcast. Mate, that's about it for now. Thanks for yet another brilliant show. Nice hat, by the way.
Yeah, you too. You too. I think this should be a thing. Yeah. We do like wearing hats.
Yeah, it should. Very similar.
Hats.
Hats and glasses. We're twinning tonight.
Except I got a better beard.
You do, mate. Yeah, I'm doing my best, but you win in that regard, no doubt. Mate, round 23, we play the Raiders. As always, my friend, go the mighty West Tigers.
Go the Tigers.